In the next edition of It's About Money, we'll be talking with Dan Skalny about travel sense, making the best use of your travel dollars. Join us. Hello and welcome to another edition of It's About Money. I'm Nannette Nocon and thank you for joining us. We have an exciting show for you today. We're talking about spending some money in vacations and travel. And our guest is Dan Skalny, who is a travel specialist, luxury travel specialist at Dan Skalny. Thank you for joining us.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you for having me.
So you didn't start out in the business, right? You were an accountant before.
That is correct. I started off being an internal auditor, so a complete opposite career move.
Yeah, but great for my show, because then we're talking about money. So you've got that background.
A lot of those accounting skills have helped me plan wonderful trips for my clients and very detail-oriented.
That's great. And you've been in the travel business for a long time now.
Almost 20 years.
That's fantastic. Now, you've taken a lot of wonderful trips also.
Yes, I have been pretty much around the world. So every year I try to explore a new location and see what is out there.
That's great. It's always, I think, adds a special value to the programs you put together for your clients when you know.
I love to bring my personal experiences back and tell my clients about the destination and enhance their travel experience there.
That's beautiful. Now, with the last couple of years, we've experienced the Great Recession. People have seen their discretionary dollars go down. There's been a lot of travel restrictions with baggages that you could bring,
yes.
And then security is tighter. How has that impacted the travel industry that you've seen?
The last year and a half has definitely been a more challenging year, but I would say that the consumer has a real passion for travel, and they will find any way to go and get on that plane and explore some other world, so another destination, so they do enjoy it.
That's great. Have you seen any trends, changes in the way people have made selections in their travel choices? Or
Definitely. The whole process has been a little bit different this year. I would say most people are booking 1 to 2 months ahead of time for their trips. A couple of years ago, they would be booking 6 months ahead of time, sometimes a year ahead of time. And I think that goes down to the economy. I think they want to make sure that the stock market is more stable, that home values are improving, job security. And once they have that more reassurance and confidence, they're ready to move ahead with their vacation plans.
So then it's easier to go on vacation and not be worried about it.
Correct.
Yeah.
I've also seen people take shorter trips. You know, they still want to go away, but maybe they'll go for 4 or 5 days versus 7 days. Some of their spending habits have changed, particularly in the cruise market. Instead of maybe doing a balcony cabin, they might do an ocean view cabin to save a little bit of money. So there's different trends that way. I've also noticed that the euro has actually, I think, strengthened a little bit against the U.S. dollar. You're in the finance business, so you'll know. But a couple of years ago, it was much more expensive to go to Europe. It's become a little bit more affordable over there, and same thing against the British pound.
Yeah, well, that's great. Now, have people changed their selections in terms of travel? Do they travel less to exotic places, or has that not really changed?
No, I think it's across the board. My clients are very diverse with their interest. Some of the exotic destinations actually, I think, have some of the better values out there. The U.S. dollar is quite strong in South America and Southeast Asia, South Africa. So you can actually have a wonderful travel experience there for, a good value.
Okay, so in that, kind of move away from some of the typical destination places to try to dig up some values there.
Right. And there's also very good values in the Caribbean, in Mexico. I know last year there was the H1N1 scare, so a lot of the Mexican resorts are offering some wonderful, good value out there. What I've noticed this year is a lot of the properties are offering a 3rd night free, 4th night free promotion. They're doing a lot of value added. I think that's the thing that consumers are really looking for this year, is how they can get the value out of their dollar. And hotels might be including breakfast this year. They might be including a resort credit, $100, $200 of money to use when you're at the property. And tying that in with the 3rd night free, 4th night free, it makes it a good opportunity.
I see. So one's planning some sort of package, it's good to take a look at what other opportunities that are offered by the resort.
Correct. And that's a good way to get a good value for your dollar.
Now, do people ever come to you and say, I want to take a vacation, do you have any suggestions? Or that's not typical?
Oh, that is typical.
Is it?
A lot of times people aren't sure exactly what they want to do. They may have a general sense. I'm looking for something warm, or I'm looking for something historical, or I'm looking for a cruise. We need to sit down, and that's how a travel agent can really help them, is we sit down like we are now, and I try to find out as much about their interest. And then I can recommend a package that will meet their interest. And it's sometimes a little challenging because you might have a husband and a wife that have completely different interests. One likes to golf, one likes to spa, one likes to sit by the beach. So,
So you can combine them all.
you
That would
combine
be
them
nice.
all. And then if you bring families into the situation, that makes it a little different because you have kids or teenagers to keep active so that the whole family is happy.
I see. No, has there been a shift in the way people have been choosing cruises? I mean, I know in the last, 15 years, there are more cruise lines or ships than in the past.
Definitely. A couple of the new ships that are out, Royal Caribbean has the new Oasis of the Seas. I don't know if you're familiar with that, but that's one of the largest ships out there.
Large means how many people?
I want to say over 5,000 passengers.
Oh my
so
goodness.
it is a good ship.
Yes, I guess so.
They're also coming out with a new Allure this December. Celebrity has 3 new ships that have come out, one last year, one this year, one later this fall. Some of the luxury cruise lines, Seabourn, Silver Seas, have new ships coming out, Holland America. So yes, there's a lot of new cruise inventory.
So is it because, are they expecting that cruise travel will be going up substantially, that there's so many?
They are. A lot of these projects, I think, were started a few years ago when the economy was very strong, but they look statistically at the pattern of consumer spending, and yes, we are in a little bit of a dip now in the pattern, but the cruise industry is going to grow. I'm not sure the exact percentage, but it might only be 30 or 40% of the U.S. population has taken a cruise, so there's a lot of new opportunities there. And there's also emerging markets around the world. So cruise lines are starting to go to, well, they've been in the Mediterranean, but they might be looking to extend the season, be there in the winter months, looking at Asia, looking at Australia, South America. So they're moving their ships all around the world, and there's different economies have different spending patterns than we might have here in the United States.
I see, because in the past, most of these cruise lines operate under the premise that most of the passengers will be Americans. Is that right?
For the U.S.-based cruise lines, yes, but now they're starting to get a more international mix of people on board and marketing to different cultures and countries around the world.
And actually, it's interesting, you're right, the demographics of the population with baby boomers retiring. They want more leisure time.
They do.
Yeah, and then you've got the rest of the world where, like you said, the emerging markets, their standard of living has been rising.
Correct.
And will continue to do so, so there's more dollars there for them to take advantage of those kinds of things like cruising.
I would say cruises are probably one of the most popular options we have and inquiries for, because I think it's one of the best values out there, because your meals are included, your accommodations, your entertainment on board.
Sure.
And there are different price points from the inside to the ocean view to the balcony cabin.
Sure. And actually, for me, I love cruising because I don't have to pack and unpack.
That is the best part.
And when you're sleeping, you're getting there. So how efficient can that be?
That is the #1 selling feature, I think.
Yeah, and then you get a taste. If you didn't like one place, well, you're going to another place, and it's not so bad.
Have you ever tried the river cruises?
No,
in
but
Europe?
I've heard some. Tell us about that.
They're a really nice option. I had a chance to experience one of them last April, and I loved it. They're typically smaller ships, 100, 150 passengers. Your meals are included. They're starting to include a lot of your sightseeing, so your walking tours every day. You don't have to pack and unpack, whereas a traditional motor coach trip in Europe, you'd be moving from city to city and hotel.
Yes.
So here you might travel on the Rhine or the Danube River. Very nice experience. They bring local entertainment on in the evening. So it's a really nice opportunity.
That sounds great. You know, when I had looked at river cruises from years ago, I would think, oh, this must be like so slow-paced. But it sounds like it's changed a lot.
It has changed. I mean, the ships do go very slow. You take in the scenery. But you get to actually overnight in some of the cities. You walk right off. You're in the center of the cities. Everything is very accessible. So it's a perfect opportunity.
And there's a lot of cities there that the ports are right there.
They're right on the rivers because hundreds of years ago in Europe particularly, the cities were built on the rivers.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's great. I'll have to try that sometime.
Yes, I do recommend.
That's great. Now, what other packages or interests are people having? Are they actually, when they travel, are they looking of mostly all-inclusive deals? Like, you know, cruises are not all-inclusive, but are all-inclusive packages becoming more popular?
Correct. People like to know ahead of time that their vacation is going to cost X dollar amount. So yes, the all-inclusive resorts are very popular. They're scattered around Mexico, some of the Caribbean islands, and that is a very popular thing for families, for individuals. I work a lot with the honeymoon market, and I would say the number one thing that honeymooners want to know is they like the all-inclusive resorts, they like the adult only. They don't want to have to think or worry because they've been so busy planning their honeymoons. They like to just kind of relax on the beach, enjoy the sun, have some good food, and have the drinks included, gratuities, and be able to relax. And that's the benefit.
And I could see that too. If you're planning a wedding and you're planning a honeymoon, that there's so much money to go around, and if you can identify, you know, the kind of encapsulate the expense to some extent, then that would be
Correct.
a good thing to do.
If you don't have the all-inclusive plan, you'll pay extra for your meals and your drinks, and you can often come home with a large credit card bill that
Sure.
you don't want afterwards versus having it prepaid ahead of time.
Right, then you have to work overtime to make
Correct,
up the difference.
Yes. I don't want to have them do that.
Yeah, and that's so. So then, what is the most exotic trip that one? I mean, I suppose there's just so many types of trips that one can take these days that it can run the gamut from no luxury to a lot of luxurious.
It's true. I mean, the world is becoming smaller with the flights going all over the place. Africa, Asia, the Amazon are all much more close. I mean, easy, obtainable.
Now, what about the inconvenience of travel that many people are complaining about these days? You know, like the extra luggage and stuff like that. Do people really care about that as much as?
That's the number one, I guess, maybe frustration that clients say, is the hassle at the airport, going through security, packing, how to pack. So that is a common question and concern, but people, I think, just learn to deal with it, and they go with the flow, and they adapt to all the different changes going on.
It's part of the hurdle, I guess. That
Correct. Yeah, that's a good way to put it. Packing is a little more of a challenge. I've noticed personally on airplanes, more and more people are bringing carry-on luggage on to avoid some of the baggage fees. If the public doesn't know, many airlines started about a year and a half ago charging for checked bags, partly because of the rising fuel cost.
And that hasn't changed. It's
no, they're still keeping the fees there, even though the fuel cost has gone down.
Right, that's right, that's right.
To do. But sometimes for a first bag, second bag, they charge, and it varies by market and by airline.
I see. So it just really depends on where you're going. And
Correct. Some international flights allow one free bag. You pay for the second.
Oh, really?
It's also important to watch the weight of individual suitcases. You never want to go above 50 pounds on a checked bag. Otherwise, they consider it excess baggage, and they add an additional service charge at the airport.
I see. Now, do you recommend people to buy travel insurance?
I do. It's something that we do offer to all of our clients. I think it is a good investment. It really comes down to personal interest, your tolerance for risk, your individual situation. I find a lot of my younger clients will pass on the insurance. Some of my little bit older clients do take that. Insurance covers a variety of things, and not everybody understands what insurance covers, so I can maybe take a minute or two and explain that. There's different types of policies out there. We use a comprehensive one that covers trip cancellation and interruption. So if you had to cancel your trip ahead of time, it would pick up non-refundable payments, and you have to cancel for a covered reason. Covered reason would be medical illness for you or a family member, death of a family member. There's provisions if you lose your job as long as you've been employed for a couple of years. There's bankruptcy. Terrorism, but it has to be a city you're traveling in within 2 or 3 week window, jury duty. So there's a variety of items that allow you to cancel. But then there's travel delay, lost luggage, emergency medical coverage, medical evacuation. So on the international trips, I find people are more apt to take it, more the exotic trips, like if you're going to Africa or the Amazon, if you ever hurt yourself and had to be medevaced somewhere, the policies cover that. But we sit down with our clients and we go over the options because a cruise line has a policy, we have a policy.
Sure, there's a lot of choices. You want to make the best
Definitely.
use of your money there. And I think some cards, charge cards, also offer some sort of...
They do. Some credit cards offer baggage coverage, car rental coverage. The traditional trip cancellation isn't always covered by your credit card. You have to double check on that.
Right, yeah, you're right, because insurance, as I asked you the question, is just so generic.
It is.
It's really a question of what it is that you're trying to protect. You know,
Correct. So you have to do a little bit of research and double check the provisions of your credit card company or your health insurance here, if it's going to cover you overseas. Some of my older clients get to an age where their health insurance doesn't cover them overseas. I think when you might get on Medicare or Medicaid provisions.
Yes, and
then you need to have, you know, some other coverage.
Sure, and actually those are things that people ought to be thinking about, especially if they're traveling someplace else where they may not be familiar with what the medical cost might be if something happened. Of course, you don't want to think of anything negative when you're traveling, but
the
still.
Insurance that we offer does come with collect number, toll-free numbers that you can call from anywhere around the world. They can recommend local doctors. They can help arrange payment for, you know, services if you ever needed that.
So it makes it.
So it is the 24-hour assistance. That's a nice plus.
So you don't have to do a lot of research in advance. You just call
the 800 number. If it happens, you call, and they help you through those situations. And I've also found on a few occasions I've had clients who have gotten ill abroad, and if they're on tour packages or cruise packages of the cruise lines tour companies, your local tour guide is very helpful. I've had some that have gone to the hospital. They've helped translate with the languages. So that's a nice reassurance, I guess.
Sure, yeah, that makes traveling a little bit, you have more peace of mind before you leave for your trip. So we'll take a quick break.
Okay.
Our guest is Dan Skalny, and he is a travel specialist, luxury travel specialist at Van Zyl. Stay tuned, we'll be right back.
Before a disaster turns your family's world upside down, it's up to you to be ready. Get a kit, make a plan, be informed today. Learn how at ready.gov.
And we're back. I'm Nannette Nocon. It's about money. We're talking with Dan Skalny, and we're talking about making the best use of your travel spending. So Glenn, thank you again for being here.
Oh, you're welcome.
Appreciate it. Let's talk about some of the opportunities in travel these days. What's out there that people can really, you know, maximize their dollar?
Certainly. There's some wonderful specials out there, and it's almost a win-win situation for you as the consumer. In order to spur up demand and get people interested in travel, a lot of hotels have been offering free night promotions. So you might have a third night free, fourth night free, which equates to 25 to 33% savings. Plus, as we mentioned earlier, there's a lot of value-added items at the hotels, particularly like in the Hawaiian market, breakfast included, resort credits, $100, $200, $300 that you can use when you're there. Tourist boards have come on board trying to drive business to their destination. The Bahamas has a free companion air promotion that they're offering. Cruise lines have been offering many 2-for-1 promotions. They're going for all-inclusive pricing, including free economy airfare, business class if you do one of the top suite categories. Regent has all your shore excursions included for this year, which is nice. And plus their product is all-inclusive on board, so gratuities are included, beverages are included. So it's really a full package right there.
So you know exactly what you're
correct.
getting.
And in the past, they didn't have the airfare included. They didn't have the shore excursions. And then a lot of times I sit down and find out what affinity cards my clients might have. If you're American Express or a Platinum member, sometimes we can do additional shipboard credits to help you out, or find ways to use your free hotel points or your free miles to you know, offset some of the cost of the trips for you.
So that's really one of the benefits of working with a travel agent, is identifying all those opportunities.
Right. We sit down with you, and we like to you know, find out how we can best save you money and enhance your experience. So there are a lot of benefits of using a travel agent. One is convenience. We like to think of ourselves as one-stop shopping.
Sure.
You know, we can help you with your flights, your cruise, your pre-hotel, your insurance. walk you through some of the frequent flyer miles, how to incorporate those into your package. Try to make it as easy as possible for you.
Because you have all the information, so basically, especially those people are very busy and they want to make the best use of their travel money.
Definitely. A busy consumer is sometimes our best one.
Sure, because I mean, how do they find out all the deals? And whereas if they go to someone and say, you know, these are my parameters, this is my budget, this is what I want to do, help me out with something together.
And we help sort you through all that information. The other benefits of the travel agent are a lot of our contacts. I've traveled the world, I've met a lot of interesting people, and I try to bring those into the whole travel experience. We work very closely with some of the local sales reps for cruise lines, tour companies, resorts here. And if we have VIP clients, we're able to call ahead and try to give you a little value added.
Nice.
I think that value added is the key term. We're part of what's called Ensemble, which is a group of travel agents around the United States and the world. And we have a lot of value-added items at hotels, complimentary shore excursions on cruise lines, shipboard credits, other bonus features. We try to bring all those together to our consumer.
That's great, and the consumer don't have access to those kinds of things because they...
And that's how we differentiate ourselves from some of the internet sites out there with the things that we can enhance your vacation with.
Sure. I made a mistake of making an air booking in the internet, and boy, you know, I talked to people in India, and you don't know because we couldn't use the tickets for some reason, and my goodness, you're on the phone hours and hours and hours. I thought, oh my goodness, all this money that I supposedly saved, I really wasted because I'm on the phone here.
You could have just called Glenn and we would have taken care of it.
I know. So my lesson. My lesson. Now, tell me about the benefit of planning early. You say that people are now looking at making their bookings about 3 months ahead instead of 6 to
1 to 3 months ahead of time. I'm a strong believer of planning ahead. So that way you can work on your work schedule, coordinate kids' activities, all of those things, get items in place. There will always be some last-minute specials out there for those that just want to go away next week, or if a cruise line is trying to fill a couple of last-minute cancellations. But generally, the travel industry would rather fill the rooms, fill the cruise beds months ahead of time and know that the ship is going to be full. So it is better to plan ahead. And a lot of the pricing and the packages have been designed to give you the best deals by planning ahead. Early booking savings, value-added shipboard credits by reserving ahead of time, special senior rates, military rates, just to name a few. So to create the confidence that you're getting a very good price. Last year was a very unique year where pricing went up and down and it was all over the place, and that's what caused a lot of people to wait to the last minute.
I see.
But now I think pricing has started to stabilize a little bit. Early booking specials I think are some of the best out there, and as people start traveling more, which we're already seeing increases, a lot of the early booking discounts are going to disappear, and the last-minute rates are going to be more expensive.
I see. Okay, so it's best really to do as much planning as possible.
Correct.
The more time you have, the better it is.
Yeah, and what I like is some of the suppliers out there have created price guarantees, so that if you book 6 months ahead of time, 9 months ahead of time, if the rate drops, they'll give you the lower rate.
Oh, that's even better.
Definitely, and as a travel consultant, we try to monitor those prices, and if we see adjustments, we adjust your price for you. Even after final payment, some of the cruise lines have allowed us to offer a lower rate to the consumer if it drops, but they give it to them in a shipboard credit to use on board, so you don't lose anything.
Sure. Oh, that's brilliant. That's great, and something that they wouldn't get otherwise if they did that through the internet. And I think sometimes people forget that there's a lot of value working with a specialist like you, instead of doing themselves through the internet. Now, what about packing tips? Because you know that you have to travel light these days.
Yes, you do, and that is always a challenge. I always take too much stuff. I think you want to think about plan ahead. start a day or two ahead of time. Don't do the last minute dash, in the morning, because then you pull everything
Include
in the
everything in
closet
there
and
in
try
the
to put it in there. So think about what you're going. If it's a business meeting, you're going to need primarily business clothes. If it's a vacation, you need casual clothes. So I suggest that people kind of lay things out, make a list of what they need. Try to stick with a common color theme is much easier to do. Try to limit the number of slacks or trousers that you take and bring different shirts so that you always looks like you have a new outfit. Women can always bring scarves or small items to dress up the outfits for you. Wear some of the bulkier, heavier clothes on the plane. So maybe your sneakers, your jeans, things that take up more room, a sweater. And then put some of the smaller items in your suitcase.
Good idea.
When you're there. So there's just a couple of things to keep in mind.
To just, if you plan in advance, instead of putting everything in there, stuffing it,
right.
You might not put as much in, make the luggage as heavy as you can.
And check the weather forecast before you go, because if it's going to be clear, you don't need to bring rain clothes, or if it's going to be warm, you don't need to bring sweaters. So.
Sure. I got this little travel umbrella that I always have in my suitcase no matter what. And if I remove it for some reason, it actually rains.
It's a good luck charm, right? It's true. I feel the same way. When you bring it, you don't need it. So that's always a plus. Some other things, sometimes if you roll your clothes is really good, or if you take your socks and put it inside your shoes. I like to use the dry cleaning bags when I travel sometimes, and I put my dress shirts in there in a garment bag, so then the plastic rubs against each other versus the fabric, so it keeps some of the wrinkles down.
Oh, great idea.
Tissue paper between items works well.
That's great. That's great. A lot of nice tips there. They don't have to iron.
But it is a challenge to keep it light.
Yeah, sure. Put as many things in there, keep it light, and then not wrinkle them and all that stuff. Now, what about people who lose their ID? How can you travel?
That's a good question. Domestically, it's a little bit easier if you lose your identification. If you arrive at the airport early and you let them know, they do a background check on you. So the TSA will do that. It might take 15 minutes, 20 minutes, but I guess they check your background through their sources to do. You can also travel, if you lose your photo ID, you can always travel with a Social Security card. Hopefully it wasn't in your wallet that got lost.
Right, that's right.
to do. And another picture identification, and they'll even let you go if it's a gym membership card or something, they'll let you go through with that and your Social Security card. Now, internationally is a little bit trickier, because you do need to have your passport for that. If you do lose your passport overseas, you have to contact the local embassy or consulate in the destination. They'll walk you through the different steps, and it will take a couple of days to get a replacement.
So if you're traveling in the weekend, you might have to wait.
You might have to defer your travel plans to do, or I've had some clients at the last minute have to drive to a passport office to obtain a passport, and I just learned that Buffalo is going to be having a passport office opening soon, which will make it very good for upstate New York people.
Sure, because I remember
to do at the last minute if you lose something or you can't, find it. Passports for kids are only good for 5 years. People forget that, where adults are 10 years. So right before a trip, somebody who's a teenager is like, oh, the passport's expired.
I see. So until you're 18, it's 5 years.
16 or 18, it switches over to 10-year validity, but if you're younger than that, it's 5 years.
I see. Oh, very important. Don't want to be going to the airport and find that it's not
No,
valid.
you do. So always, I suggest when I give my clients their final travel documents, make sure their passports are in a safe place where they know they can locate it. I often suggest that they photocopy their passport and bring a copy with you, and or scan and email one to you so you can always access it if you need to.
Oh, good idea.
It's sometimes easier to help with the replacement of one.
Oh, that's a great idea.
Or carry an extra photograph with you, passport photograph.
Sure, right.
If you ever need to, it's one less step in the process.
Well, what a great idea. Those are wonderful tips.
Thank you.
That's great. Boy, the time has just flown by and lots of things to talk about.
Yes.
I really appreciate you being here, Glenn.
Oh, thank you for inviting me. It was a pleasure.
Thank you. And I hope you got some good tips. I know I did. Thank you for joining us. We had Glenn Skalny from Van Zyl Travel. Have a great day, a great week, and stay tuned for the next edition of It's About Money. I'm Nannette Nocon.
Thanks for tuning in to today's show. If you have any questions for It's About Money, please email Nannette at nnocon@aol.com. This program was produced through Penfield Community Television in Penfield, New York.